Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Militarum Tempestus tactics video. So today's video we will be continuing our Militarum Tempestus basic tactics series where I go through pretty much everything that is going to have to be known about Militarum Tempestus if you want to have a basic understanding of how this sub-faction works and what you want to really, what knowledge you really want to arm yourself with if you're going to potentially collect these guys as a standalone faction or use them to supplement your Imperial Guard or Imperium force. So, we've already covered the sort of basic principles of the Militarum Tempestus, how they're a surgical tool. They don't really have, you have to maintain that momentum. If you don't, then you will find yourself quickly falling apart. And we've discussed also the basic rifle of the Militarum Tempestus, which is a little different to what a lot of factions have available to them. The Hotshot Lasgun is, it's only strength 3, but the fact that your basic guy has an AP -2 weapon, which has potential to put out 4 shots, is a real boon. So we've talked about some good things. Now we're going to talk about another one of the special weapons that is available to the Tempestus, and that is the grenade launcher. Now, any of you that are familiar with my other Imperial Guard series will know that I, for the longest time, have been a big fan of the grenade launcher in my regular Imperial Guard forces. Yes, at the beginning of 8th edition, they did fall out of favour with myself, I won't deny that. But as the meta changes, invuln saves become a lot more prominent, and the multi-wound monsters become a lot more prominent. The grenade launcher in my regular guard forces has made a little bit of a comeback. However, I don't think it is a good weapon for the Stormtroopers. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain why I think that in a moment, but for now, let's go through what the grenade launcher actually is. Okay, it's an Assault 1 weapon, which means that you get 1 shot. No matter what range you're at, you get 1 shot. It does mean that you have the ability to advance and shoot with this weapon, but it will be at -1 to hit, which means with Militarum Tempestus, that's a 4-up. Okay, which is interesting. It has 2 firing modes. You can either fire the crack mode, which is a strength 6, AP -1, D3 damage weapon, or you can fire the frag mode, which is D6, strength 3, AP -nothing shots. Okay, now the reason why the grenade launcher is quite good in regular guard forces is because it's a nice, cheap, cheerful weapon that you can stick on a squad of guardsmen to give them a nice little bit of long-range fire. And it is quite nice to have that ability to do multiple wounds. And if you lose the squad, then you've only lost the grenade launcher. It's not a big deal. None of those apply to the Militarum Tempestus. Okay, with Stormies, with your Stormtroopers, you want to spend the points. You don't want to skimp out on points. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Because your guys need to be able to achieve a specific role, and they need to be able to achieve that surgical sort of tactical specific job. They need to be able to achieve that well. Now, that doesn't mean you want to be slapping power fists, power swords, med kits, blah, 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 or flag. You don't want any of that useless shit, okay? But at the same time, you don't want to be buying special weapons which aren't really going to deliver a real punch. And that really is the problem with the grenade launcher. It doesn't pack enough of a punch. And rightly so, it's only 5 points. Okay, that's what you have to remember. It's only 5 points, but you get what you pay for. And the problem is you really have to compare it. You really have to have a look at what is that weapon adding to your force. Okay, you can either add a bunch of strength 3 shots, but guess what? Your basic rifleman comes with a strength 3 weapon, but that strength 3 weapon is AP -2. So that doesn't really help. Or you could shoot the crack mode. But the problem is the crack mode, as we've just said, doesn't really have enough punch. Doesn't really have the weight behind it to reliably do a lot of damage. The fact that it's only got AP -1 is a big deal. Okay, the fact it's only strength 6 is a big deal. And the fact you can't really rely on the damage output. Remember, you're playing Tempestus here. You need to have weapons you can rely on. The fact that you can't rely on it makes it a difficult weapon to take, because you've got a random amount of damage. You've got a shot that isn't strong enough to reliably wound things. I mean, as a Tempestus player, you want to be able to guarantee you're going to be wounding 95% of your targets on a 3+ with your special weapons. Okay? This is just a fact of life. Okay? So that's one. Basically, what it comes down to, guys, to keep this video as a bit of a summary, to not keep this video from going on too long. I mean, we're talking about a weapon I don't recommend. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. This is the key flaw with the grenade launcher. Okay? It's a generalist weapon. It's a weapon that can do a little bit of anti-hold in a pinch and a little bit of anti-tank in a pinch. But it's a generalist weapon that you're trying to give to a specialist army. An army that doesn't really have a line infantry unit. An army which doesn't really have tactical marines. We don't have a tactical marine equivalent. Okay? Our stormtroopers are very specialised units. They are either drop-in suicide destruction units. They are either absolute just scalpel-like weapons that will just carve away a piece of the enemy's army. There is none of this. We don't have the ability to just have a line infantry unit to sit in some cover and hammer out a firefight with an enemy unit. We won't win the game that way. We constantly have to be on the move. We constantly have to be hitting the enemy harder and harder every turn. And the grenade launcher simply doesn't allow us to do that. It's a generalist weapon in a specialist army. So another big thing is what you have to think about is where are you going to be taking this weapon in your army? It's either going to be on a command squad or it's going to be on a stormtrooper squad. Okay, big problem is that on a command squad, what you want to be using your command squads for every single time is as drop melter or drop plasma. Realistically, you can only take 3 command squads because you can only take 3 Tempestus Primes. You want to be taking 3 plasma command squads. That's all you really want. Okay? 3 plasma command squads. In the current meta, in 8th, this is specifically to 8th edition we're talking about. But you don't want to take... So it's not really... Because plasma command squads drop in and they deliver an unholy amount of firepower and then they die. They are suicide units. But if you drop in 4 grenade launchers, more than likely what you're going to do is just tickle the enemy. You're not going to hurt them. They don't have that punch. You'll get 4 shots and... maybe you'll probably hit with 3 of them, but then you might, depending on what you're shooting, you might wound with like 2. That's it. That's not a huge amount. It's just not good enough. Likewise, you might drop in. So, you don't really need the anti-horde option because you have access to such a fantastic anti-horde platform in the Dakar Taurox, the Dakar Prime. So again, it doesn't really fill that role. It hasn't got a place. It doesn't do anything that other weapons and other units in your army can already do better. And you're not going to take this thing on regular line squads because why the hell would you take a grenade launcher when you could say, for an anti-infantry option, why would you take a grenade launcher when you could just take a guy with a rifle and give him first rank fire, second rank fire, and on average get more shots? It just doesn't make sense. That's the real problem. Last thing to say is, some of you might say, well, if you want to be constantly on the move, then you want to have, having an assault weapon that allows you to move and advance is quite useful. Yes and no. The problem is that as being an assault weapon, if you move and advance with it, you hit at -1. that means you're not going to be able to activate your Stormtrooper Doctrine. Whereas if you just move and advance and then use the Order of Force to the Emperor, you're able to activate your Stormtrooper Doctrine on every other weapon, but not your assault weapon. Your assault weapon still counts as advancing. But if it advances, it's -1. Little rules glitch, I would say, but that's the way it works. So, there you go, guys. That's why I wouldn't take the grenade launcher in a Militarum Tempestus army. It's not specialist enough, it doesn't pack enough punch, it doesn't bring anything to your army that your other units can't already do. I know, last thing I want to say is, I know some people will be saying, well, why are you such a big proponent of foot veterans with grenade launchers? Okay, the reason I'm a big proponent of foot veterans with grenade launchers is I see foot veterans as just a better line infantry unit. They are foot veterans. Okay, foot veterans with grenade launchers and missile launchers is a very good, cheap unit that can put out a decent amount of firepower, but they're not a super high level threat. The moment you put veterans, put it this way, the moment you put veterans in a Chimera, what's your go-to special weapon on them? Plasma. Because you want to get close, you want to rapid fire, you want to do damage. It's the same principle that applies to the Tempestus, but it's on an army-wide scale. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please leave lots of comments, tell me what you think. Am I off the mark here? I don't think so. I think we'd all agree that in a Tempestus army, 99.9% of the time, you want to be taking a plasma gun over a grenade launcher. Hell, you want to take a hotshot las gun over a grenade launcher. Tell me what you guys think, leave lots of comments, and I'll see you guys next time.